doctors should be warning everyone before they lose weight that if you lose a lot of fat from excess fat very quickly, it can give you gallstones. It will make gallstones that you possibly already have because of being overweight and the excessive cholesterol that comes with that, which isn't necessarily perfectly correlated with what's in your blood. It's cholesterol in the bile salts, and it correlates better with iron. Why don't they these things are so important to know. I wasn't warned. When the doctors told me I had high cholesterol, this was late 2023, high cholesterol, BMI was at 25 at that point, but a month later my body fat percentage was 36.3%, which is morbidly obese. I've got another video about that. It's explaining why that is even possible in a case like mine with a tiny little light bones that don't weigh anything. Basically, I was just told the normal things that they tell you of try and cut back on this and that, and I didn't pay any attention. I heard that you need to lose weight, which I already kind of knew, and I was like, yeah, I definitely need to lose weight once I saw the numbers, and I knew how I'd gained the weight very rapidly. I'd never been overweight before. I'd been over fat, because again, tiny little bones, no muscle. So everything I ate turned to fat instead of muscle and bone. So I needed to eat less than I was, basically, because I don't need that much, because bones and muscle burn a lot of calories, fat doesn't, and I don't have much, my body doesn't make bone and muscle very easily. So anyway, what they didn't warn me was any of the side effects of losing weight very quickly. They didn't say anything about that. And when the little that you people do talk about, it's always, don't lose weight too quickly because you might binge and gain it all back at the end. And sure, I'm not saying they shouldn't warn people that can happen to some people. The trouble is, it doesn't happen to everyone. And some of us kind of, for various reasons, like we've reached an age, we kind of know that's not us through our own history with weight and food. And the things that have brought us to needing to lose weight, in my case, it was also horrific symptoms of endometriosis, like crippling. I was on extreme painkillers, drowsy, in bed, still in pain, still in severe pain, even on the hella painkillers. And yet they were, saying, oh, you need to lose weight. I was like, yeah, I know. Like, if it will help my endometriosis, and I was put on the pill, which did stop the severity of that pain, but it also gave me mood swings. So I was highly motivated. I was motivated by how I was panting walking up the stairs. I was motivated by frustration at myself but somehow letting myself think, you know what, getting fat probably won't be that bad, because most people where I live in one of the fattest towns in the UK, and certainly England, maybe not the whole UK, but within England, the fattest. And so I'm surrounded by people who were much bigger than I had been, and none of them talked about how their knees hurt and they were panting. No one complained all the time. They didn't seem to be in pain and itching and chub rubbing and things just being uncomfortably rubbing, breasts resting on your belly, which was one of the things it distracted me so much. It was so annoying. And because people weren't warning people, I took that to mean it's not that bad. Maybe you'll get heart disease in like 30 years or whatever, but who cares, kind of. That's how I felt in that year. And then I felt, once I got to the end of the year, I'd gained loads of weight really fast through just grazing all day, just like mindless grazing. I was stuck at home. Might as well eat all day while I'm doing whatever else I'm doing. And then I got annoyed with myself enough that I was that stupid that I didn't think, people just don't talk about it, because who wants to just moan all day, for one thing? Who wants to moan, in a serious way? People in the UK moan for bonding, but that's like a tongue-in-cheek or like exaggerated for comedy effect type of moaning. That's like low-level trauma bonding that we all do 24/7, like a micro dose of trauma bonding, essentially, as part of the British culture. But actually seriously moaning all the time is annoying everywhere, I think. So people don't do that. That's the reason people don't talk about it, because if they talk about how in pain and uncomfortable and sweaty and over hot they got, all the panting, all the lack of stamina, just feeling tired, physically feeling heavy. All these things I didn't know about. I'd never experienced them before. And then I was so annoyed with myself that I lost the weight very fast out of that motivation primarily. Some vanity, but honestly, vanity more came later once I realised, hey, I could look better than I did in my 20s, you know? But at the time, it was motivated by how uncomfortable I was in multiple ways, all these different health complications of issues I already had. I already had some undiagnosed at the time, some diagnosed other health problems, and I'd made it worse for myself, and I felt really bad about that. And so I was highly motivated, and I also didn't have any of the eating habits, should we call them, because YouTube doesn't like certain words. I didn't have any particular problems that should make me likely to do the yo-yo thing, and I already just sort of knew, I just knew I'm not going to gain it back, I'm not going to binge at the end, I can lose it really fast, I can white knuckle it, and actually kind of enjoy white knuckling it, because for me it was a whole life. I'm going to learn to cook and bake, and that was my new project, so I was enjoying it. I was actually enjoying the rapid weight loss. But I knew those things about myself. So the warnings that there were about, you know, oh, you'll gain it all back, didn't apply to me. But why don't we warn people about the gallstones and the iron deficiency, which my iron deficiency, yes, although I'm vegetarian and people will naturally want to blame that, and it's partly that. It's that I didn't know that spinach is actually a rubbish source of iron, and I should have been using kale. Easy swap to make now, but now I'm on like liquid iron supplements. Prescribed ones, so like high dose, not just over the counter, like prescription dose, but liquid and every other day. That's the best way I found out is to reduce any side effects, which I've had none so far, like no gastrointestinal issues, nothing. Which means you're absorbing it all. You're not like it's not sitting there irritating your digestive tract, which is not good. And but in my case, it was endometriosis probably caused my iron deficiency. And who talks about that? The fact that endometriosis, you're dumping iron into your endometrial lining, and it's, instead of it being in your blood, you know, in going into all the other tissues, it's being dumped into this place where it's just causing a lot of pain. And no one told me that at the time, and I only know now that I need these iron supplements. I'm not anemic. Everyone's talking about this lately as well, iron deficiency, anemia. That's why I thought I should make a video on this, touching on this. And it's all connected. That's why this seems a bit ramblier than usual even. It's all connected. First of all, they don't warn us that losing excess fat very quickly will overload the liver with all this excess cholesterol that's being burned off from where it was in the fat cells, and now it's got to go somewhere, and that cholesterol that it breaks down into ends up in your bile salts. And then there are other reasons, and then iron deficiency actually correlates really strongly with whether or not you get gallstones, and cholesterol in your blood doesn't actually. Studies have not actually found that cholesterol in the blood is a correlate of it. So we know that cholesterol is playing a role, but like your blood cholesterol isn't a good indicator of what's happening in your bile salts, you know, because there's different things your body can do with that. And what if you don't have high cholesterol, but your body's that's because it's dumping all of it in your bile, and then that's forming stones in your gallbladder. That might be the reason your cholesterol's not that high. It's all formed into gallstones instead of floating around in your blood. So, and iron, there are multiple ways that it does this. Iron deficiency also contributes to gallstones. So this is why, you know, if you don't warn people, they're going to be unnecessarily having their damn gallbladder removed, which is obscene. I think it's ridiculous that loads of people have their gallbladder removed. And now we know about the drug that's used to break up, I don't know if it's really technically a drug, but it's a substance they give you to break up the gallstones, and to also it helps reconstitute the bile salts so that they're healthier, and it affects your gut bacteria in a way that actually helps them to do this themselves. So I won't try to pronounce it off the top of my head. It begins with D, and I'll write it down in the description and things and in the title. But the fact is, this stuff also helps to reduce metabolic syndrome. Now, because I'm suspected, still not completely confirmed, but heavily suspected of having temple syndrome, I'm at extreme risk of metabolic syndrome like my high cholesterol, still high. They don't know why, but it could be just Temple syndrome. Something about the genes that are poorly methylated or overly methylated in Temple syndrome. At least some of those genes cause the body not to clear cholesterol properly, it would seem, because you've got like kids who aren't even overweight, who are like 6 years old with high cholesterol if they have Temple syndrome. And fatty liver. I also have signs of fatty liver. And all of this, even after over a year of sustaining a very healthy lifestyle, exercising every day, like eating no ultra processed, like everything's made myself, or if I buy it ready-made, it's been ready-made in a way that was done in the 1800s or before, no chemicals from the 1900s onwards. So there's really no reason other than some kind of genetic problem with clearing cholesterol with other processes in the body that would explain this. But people who take this stuff to break up gallstones, it helps with their other symptoms. It helps with the fatty liver, and it helps with all the things that statins cause. So if I were to be put on statins, which I haven't been yet, but it might happen, they might suggest it. There is a study out there. Nick Norris just did a video on this, and I'm not a keto follower, but I do like his particular channel. I just think he raises really interesting studies, and talks a lot of sense. I don't have to share his diet and agree with him across the board, but he's been on his own little journey of discovering different things about macros and stuff. But the fact is, he was appalled, and so am I, so are all these other doctors on his video, about how this study showing that this substance used to break up gallstones actually would help prevent all the side effects of statins, which are to give you basically worse metabolic syndrome apart from lowering the cholesterol. And he was like, why isn't this widely known? Why is no one acting on it? We've got this research, this substance is out here that's already used in medicine. Why aren't we giving it to people? It would clearly help with that, and also there's evidence it would actually help prevent it in people who are not on statins. So I should be on this substance anyway. I should be on this drug that breaks up gallstones, regardless of the fact that I have gallstones. Just because I have high cholesterol for no apparent reason after trying everything, fatty liver, beginning signs of fatty liver, I should be experimented on with this. I say experimented on because it would be kind of a novel use of it, but there's evidence to show that it would work. So these are my suggestions. If anyone in the medical community is watching, I'm going to post the links below. And a lot of people are talking about gallstones now because of rapid weight loss. People are now using these tools. We all know what tools I mean. That is meaning that more people than usual are rapidly dropping weight, especially rapidly. And when it's that rapid weight loss which makes it more likely. But even with slow weight loss, if you've got a lot of fat that you're burning down, even if it is more slowly, you are still somewhat, at risk of getting gallstones by the end of it. And no one warned me that I would be in extreme crippling pain from gallstones because that I didn't need to. I probably could have avoided it by just losing it a bit slower. Probably, and not letting myself get iron deficient. But I wasn't warned that, iron deficiency is also going to massively increase the rate of you getting those gallstones. It's going to increase the growth of them to the point where even if you probably already had them, which I probably already did, before I even gained the weight in my case, I think, but why they became symptomatic and now more frequently symptomatic even now is probably the iron deficiency that I didn't know I had until I finally got blood tested because of trying to figure out why I would have gallstones, and I had paramedics not believe me that it was gallstones. Not that I was telling them it was gallstones, but they didn't suspect gallstones even though my gallbladder was inflamed. But on palpation it was inflamed, but the head paramedic was still like, that's probably indigestion, like an acid reflux or something. And it's like, I know what acid reflux feels like. I don't get it really ever anymore, but I do know what it feels like, and it didn't feel like that. It was different. I've probably had gallstones for a long time, but now they've grown massively big because I wasn't warned to make sure I got enough iron. And I think this isn't just me. I think everyone should be warned this. If you're on a weight loss journey, make sure you don't get deficient in iron, because there are multiple ways that iron deficiency makes your gallstones grow even faster. And while you are burning that fat, that cholesterol then is in your blood, and it's going to end up somewhere, and it might end up making your gallstones bigger, and the iron deficiency just slows down the motility of the gallbladder, and it also led to several biochemical changes, which I cannot remember off the top of my head, but there were like basically 3 different ways that iron deficiency has been found to contribute to, and in fact just cause gallstones in rats. That's all it took. They just gave the rats an iron deficient diet, and the rats were forming these crystals, these gallstone crystals. By the week they were getting bigger just from being in an iron deficient diet. And that's why, probably one of the main reasons why women get gallstones more. So I was on the pill, which also makes you likely to get gallstones because it raises estrogen. And yeah, having endometriosis, I'm already likely to be iron deficient just from the endometriosis. And I think they knew I was vegetarian. And it's not that you obviously can't get enough iron as a vegetarian, but you have to think about it, whereas if you eat a load of meat, just as a habit, you probably don't have to think about it as much, especially if you don't have endometriosis or something else like that. So yeah, sorry if this is more rambling than usual, but I just really wanted to share this PSA. Please think about your iron levels. Please think about how rapidly you lose weight. Even if you are confident that you will not develop, a rebound effect, even like I was confident, and I was right. I've never rebounded. I've kept the weight off. I love my new lifestyle. I really enjoy it. It's not a chore for me. It can be a chore sometimes. Sometimes you're tempted. But personally, I don't have any level of temptation that leads to like tormented feelings or anything like that. It's nothing like that deep because I've never had the E followed by the letter D problem. And just to back up what Graphically Alex and others recently, it's not even one person. Randomly I'm seeing it everywhere. I don't know if that's the algorithm hearing me say the word iron out loud in my flat and then I don't know, but like it's not even just him who I do follow and subscribe to. But it's other people. I just randomly am seeing comments about iron deficiency more lately, and I wanted to add iron deficiency apart from the fact that it makes you feel like shit, even if you're not anemic. Like I'm not anemic with it. They caught it before it got to that point. It still is really bad for you in multiple ways, including it can full-on cause gallstones even without other factors. At least in rats, didn't even need other factors. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. Comment below if you've had any similar experiences, anything to add. Bye.